Yeah, bring that back in.
Hey everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is AKPsi. I am the president of Mizzou CEO. It is with great pleasure that I introduce our keynote speaker for tonight's event, a true testament to resilience and success. He has authored 2 remarkable books, Introspective Rationale, The Odyssey of Theodicy, and Self-Sustained Thinking. And he is the CEO of Self-Sustained Training, a platform that has transformed the lives of thousands of individuals. Despite facing homelessness, Mitchell's unwavering determination and commitment to his dreams have been nothing short of inspiring. He has used his life experiences to motivate and uplift those around him, making him a true inspiration to all who know him, including myself. I am confident that his words will leave a lasting impact on each and every one of us here today. So please join me in welcoming to the stage, Mitchell Thompson.
Hello. Hey, it's my first time using one of these. Cool. How are we doing today? We doing good? Good. All right, listen, before we get started, I have got to try something. I mean, we're at Mizzou, right? M-I-Z. Listen, I'm from Kansas City, and I've always wanted to do that. I've never had the opportunity, though, right? I've never had the opportunity to do that. I mean, I really want to thank Akko for that warm, welcoming introduction. I want to let you guys know I've known Akko since he was like 5 years old. Like, I've literally known Akko since he was a child. Good. And for me personally, to see how he has grown from that young boy that I knew so well, to see how he has grown from that young boy into this extraordinary young man, I mean, personally, that for me, that's amazing to see in and of itself. And if it wasn't for Akko and all of those involved in the CEO organization, I don't think any of us would even be here today. So without further ado, let's give a round of applause for Akko Hammerman and all of those involved in the CEO. Yeah! That's what I'm talking about. Good work, my boy. You see, the thing about Akko that I truly appreciate and admire is the same thing that I appreciate and admire from every single one of you in this room tonight. And that's the willingness to not only desire to see something like optimize your health for wealth. Like, yeah, that sounds cool and all. That sounds like something we all would be interested in. But to do the extra work and actually show up tonight, that in and of itself is indicative of your guys' extraordinary potential and extraordinary quality. So give yourselves a round of applause for being extraordinary, truly. You guys are extraordinary. You guys are extraordinary. I mean, it takes an extra level of work. I'm not saying this just to say it, but it takes an extra level of work to show up somewhere like this tonight, especially because Tony Robbins or Gary Vee aren't on the marquee. You guys got a no-name Mitchell Thompson coming here to tell you how to optimize your health, yet you still took the initiative to show up this morning or this afternoon. And truly, you'll understand that that's the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. The difference is simply doing the extra. It's simple, doing the extra. And whether you guys qualified as something worthy of being extra or not, the fact that you showed up is more than what most ordinary people would do in the first place. You see, 90% of the US population is metabolically unhealthy. 90%. Of the 90% that are metabolically unhealthy, you gotta ask yourself, where does that metabolic unhealth come from? It comes from eating poor. It comes from not eating well. Simple as that. And we'll get more into that as we get into the actual discussion. But I have to emphasize the difference in your guys' approach showing up tonight versus so many other people who decide to not show up because you guys did the extra work. I don't want to get too biblical or religious or anything like that, but in 2018, I wrote a book. It's a historical narrative about history and religion. And one thing I've noticed through synthesizing all that data over the years, One thing that every historian, one thing that every anthropologist will tell you is what separates human beings from the animal kingdom, first and foremost, fundamentally. You can call it the distinguishing factor that the Bible describes as us being children of God, if you will. The idea of that is not one that prescribes to any sort of religious testimony in particular. The idea behind that is human beings are starkly different than every other animal in existence. Human beings are extraordinary in their own right. But in 2023, in the 21st century, it's almost like we forgot how extraordinary we are. 90% of the population in the United States is metabolically unhealthy. That doesn't mean 90% of the population is completely unhealthy. It just means they're metabolically unhealthy, meaning they could eat a little bit better. And again, we'll get into that as the seminar continues. But for the most part, I needed to emphasize and prioritize to you guys the stark factor that you guys are extraordinary. That is no joke, and I'm not saying that lightly. And when we get into the actual work, you'll end up realizing what little is actually required to be extraordinary. And you guys showing up tonight, that was pretty little effort, but you did it. You see, that extraordinary quality within the human condition, we don't have to compete to the same degree that our ancestors did. We don't have to survive at its fittest the same way our ancestors did. So as a result, we don't have to exemplify that extraordinary quality. And because we don't have to exemplify that extraordinary quality, we get to a position where 90% of us are metabolically unhealthy. Now, I'm old enough to remember the pre-participation era trophy of things. I'm not that much older than a lot of you in here. I'm only 26. I can tell you one thing, even only being 26 years old, I grew up in a time where I knew what third place felt like. I knew what second place felt like. I knew what first place felt like. And to lose isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's only bad when we qualify what losing actually means, because that loss within losing, the L within the losing, it can be qualified as a learning lesson. I look at L's as a learning lesson. For me, every single loss in life presents the opportunity to learn to some capacity. Now, raise your hand in here if at some point in time you competed in some competitive endeavor as a kid or as a teenager. Go ahead, raise your hand if any of you guys competed in basketball, soccer, volleyball, it could be anything. Exactly. Go ahead, put your hands down. Now, I want you to raise your hand again if you at some point have gotten some sort of reward or some sort of trophy to some capacity, even if you didn't win. Go ahead, raise your hands. Winners win and losers lose. And when you get a participation trophy and every time you compete, you don't know what it's like to lose. And if you don't know what it's like to lose, you don't know what it's like to overcome that loss. And that's the biggest issue with people in the 21st century, not exemplifying or even identifying that extraordinary quality within themselves as a human being. You see, nowadays, because we don't have to compete with another, meaning survival at its fittest isn't me against them like it once was for our ancestors. Survival at its fittest nowadays from a competition standpoint is strictly based in you versus yourself. Our ancestors literally used to have to fight each other to survive. People would die as a result of competition. And even for those that are wanting to be a business owner in here, even in the business domain where it is survival at its fittest, and that's the closest we can get to competition at its highest in the 21st century, it still has nothing compared to what our ancestors had to experience when it comes to actual survival at its fittest. So you're only in competition with yourself. You're only in competition with yourself. And when you're in competition with yourself, what does that implicate? That if you win, you win. But if you lose, you lose. So when you're competing against yourself, you're only in competition with yourself, meaning there's only one winner and there's only one loser. And if there's only one winner and only one loser with yourself, for yourself with respect to yourself, you have to be totally honest and totally accountable with regards to the actual output, whether the output is winning or losing. And again, when you don't know how to lose, generally, and then you go and compete against yourself, there is the inevitable, especially if you're going to be a business entrepreneur, which we'll get into that in a second, but if you're going to be a business entrepreneur, you really have to know what it's like to experience failure. And to experience failure in the 21st century, when you don't necessarily know how to lose, it can be a lot easier to give up on yourself, disregard that extraordinary quality, and decide to remain complacent and ordinary for the sake of doing so, because you have the luxury to do so in the 21st century. Now, when you're in competition with yourself, you're going to realize it breeds two things. I don't know if you guys know who Lex Friedman is, but I would like to debate him on this sort of AI, because this AI is the most important, which is regards to accountability and integrity. In 2023, if we had those two variables, accountability and integrity, I guarantee you every single human being in this auditorium tonight would not only be healthier as a result of that accountability and integrity, but the healthier translates directly over into the wealthier. Because the healthier you are, the better version of yourself you are. And when you're a better version of yourself, every single tangential relationship experience in your life with respect to you as that individual is going to be richer and more fruitful. Optimize your health for wealth. The healthier you are, the richer you'll be in every other capacity. For those that are in here wanting to be an entrepreneur, and even if you're not an entrepreneur in here, and even if you don't want to own a business, you can still relate to or at least understand the analogy for its deeper meaning with respect to what it means to be an entrepreneur as a startup business. Now, if we live in a participation era if we live in an era of participation trophies where we don't know how to lose, and you see a crazy statistic like that on the board, it makes you wonder, am I cut out to be an entrepreneur in 2023? 90% of startup businesses fail. Simple as that. I'm sure a lot of you that are entrepreneurs in here know that, but really think about that. Let's just say if there was 500 people in this audience tonight, 90% of all of those 500 people who start a startup business, 90% of them, meaning 450 of you, are doomed to fail from the beginning. Of the 90%, only 10% fail in the first year, meaning in the first year, only about 45 of you actually fail explicitly. And then years 2 to 5, over 315 of you will fail. Meaning years 2 to 5, 70% of all startup businesses are doomed to fail and will inevitably fail. But it's not as obvious after the first year. It's only explicitly obvious in years 2 through 5. And then after 5 years, at some point, the remainder 90 of you will end up failing. And I'm not saying all this to deter you from starting a startup business. I'm saying this so you have a realistic understanding of what it means to approach anything in the 21st century, let alone something as low probability of succeeding like a startup business. And you can even see it up there. 42% of startup businesses fail due to what? Misreading market demands. Meaning, of the 90% who fail, 42% of them are failing. Why? Because they don't even know what they're selling. They don't know how to read the market. They don't know how to produce a product worthy enough to be valued by the market to then what? Be demanded for them to supply that product. 42%, nearly 50%, nearly half of all startup businesses fail due to not knowing their market. And of the remainder 90%, the biggest second majority of why they fail is due to a lack of funding. It's around 33%. Now, that lack of funding could stem from the lack of preparation on the not knowing your market side, because if you know your market, you can obviously market to that market. You can do more marketing and promotion to that market, and you can finance your budget a little easier because you have a better understanding of what your market demands. 3/4 of all failed startup businesses fail due to simply not being prepared. And there's an ancient Roman senator about 2,000 years ago who claimed that luck is simply preparation meeting opportunity. And the reason why 3/4 of all the startup businesses fail, the reason why they don't know their market, the reason why they don't know how to actually appropriate their fundings the right way is because they're not prepared. They are simply not prepared. You see, Seneca knew this 2,000 years ago, but it was a little more obvious in terms of the necessity for the preparation back when survival at its fittest necessitated you actually surviving and not just thriving. So it's simple. Luck equals preparation plus opportunity. That is one of my favorite quotes of all time. I'll probably say that with 5 other quotes tonight, but luck is simply preparation when it meets opportunity. So the more you prepare in life, the higher probability you have for luck simply when that opportunity meets itself. As a personal trainer, the more prepared I am in my knowledge when it comes to training a client, the more luck I'll have with regards to the results they garner after the implementation of some basic protocol, which we'll get into tonight. And by the way, the protocol we'll get into tonight, you guys will be able to implement right away, immediately tonight, 100% for free. There is no excuse why we don't start expediting our extraordinary quality sooner rather than later. Now, the question we've got to ask ourselves is simple. Why don't we prepare? Why didn't people show up here tonight? Because it takes a little extra effort. What I was alluding to at the beginning is just that. It's a little extra effort and a little extra work. You guys all being here going to college right now, the difference between you coming to Mizzou, let alone just going to college in the first place, means you did the extra work. Now, maybe some of your parents helped you with it, but if they didn't, that's okay. The extra work on that point was what? Actually applying for the school, applying for grants, applying for scholarships. What classes do I want to take? Do I even want to go to Mizzou? All those things took extra work. And most people aren't even willing to do that. And that's why I applaud every single one of you in here tonight, because you truly are extraordinary. It's amazing to me. This is my second favorite quote of all time. Children do what they want to do, and adults do what they have to do. We live in 2023 where you don't have to go out and hunt your food. You don't have to walk 5 miles to a well to get your water. You don't have to chase your dinner in deserts. You can go up the street to get your dinner and dessert. It's a stark difference with respect to what you have to do versus what you want to do, especially the further back in history you go. And the further back in history you go, you end up realizing what? Survival at its fittest was a lot more explicit than it is in the 21st century. So what we have to do nowadays isn't as explicit as what we had to do back then. Because back then we had to go get our food, we had to go get water, we had to earn our worth, we'll say. Nowadays we don't have to do that. So it's safe to say that we're all more susceptible to behaving like children because we get to do what we want to do, rather than having to do what we must, simply to survive, let alone to thrive. So, yeah, we all have to pay bills. As adults, we have to make sure that we have a roof over our head and that we have food on the table. But that extra work of paying the bills that may seem like it's extra work in your mind is actually just pretty ordinary, because every adult has to pay bills. Every adult has to go work a job. Every adult has responsibilities to adhere to, even though those responsibilities are nowhere near how they used to be for our ancestors back in the day. Everybody has to pay bills. So that's ordinary. So if you're an adult in here and you have to go work your job and you have to pay your bills, that is ordinary. So what's the extraordinary? Taking care of that extra with regards to your health. I cannot emphasize this enough, you guys, and I'm so serious. The main reason I wanted to come here tonight because of how important this information is, let alone how easy to implement this information is. But kinesiology and fitness as we know it is really only about 150 years old, and even then, the science that we actually know about fitness and kinesiology is really only about 40 to 50 years old. And if I was sitting in here talking about myofascial releasing and myofascial adhesions, I'm pretty sure you guys have walked out by now. So what is the extra? The extra is simple. Simply be a bit healthier. And if 90% of us are metabolically unhealthy, the extra is just cleaning that metabolism, which means cleaning our food, which we'll get into. But what is the extra? What separates the ordinary from the extraordinary in 2023? In my opinion, it's as simple as being healthy. And you don't have to go to the gym 4 days a week, 5 days a week, 6 days a week. You don't have to do anything crazy that the fitness industry has plagued your minds with thinking that that is the only way to get healthy. But I'm telling you right now, getting healthy is way easier than anybody in this room thought. It was way easier than I thought. I complicated it when I was a trainer back in the day. So the extra is simple. You just optimize your health. Because the healthier you are, the wealthier you will be in all facets of your life, as I alluded to earlier. Your relationships will be more fruitful. Not only your relationships with like the outside world, meaning with your family, with your friends, the most important relationship that will get mended when you start becoming healthier is the relationship you have with yourself. Which is why most of us are unhealthy, because we don't have that good relationship with ourselves. And I'm not saying we hate ourselves, I'm just saying we don't have the relationship with ourselves that would necessitate the understanding of our extraordinary quality, let alone the importance of implementing rudimentary protocols to then expedite the actual getting healthy process. But what does that look like? Before we get into that, I have to express this. You guys, by becoming a better and healthier version of yourself, you become a better and healthier version of your child to your parents. You become a better and healthier friend to your friends. You become a better and healthier relative to your relatives, but the most important thing is you become a better and healthier potential parent to your children if at some point you decide to be a parent, raising the next generation. And if you don't want to be a parent, by being your best and healthiest self, you set up your future self for success and for optimization. Your future self. So now we get to the meat and potatoes of things. So I can't express this enough, like truly. People think you gotta go into a gym to get healthy. People think you gotta be caloric restrictive and eat all this protein and blah, blah, blah. But the actual simple formula to getting healthy is knowing what your macronutrients are, fixing your diet and nutrition fundamentally, which is something we can get into. Fixing your biomechanics, which just means fixing the way you walk, fixing the way you move. And the only way we can do those things is by understanding the actual protocol in place to do it. Now, the protocol I will be implementing for us tonight, that you will be able to walk away from tonight and be that much better in terms of implementing a rudimentary protocol to optimize your health. I'll just cut it to you like this. Most people in the fitness industry, they're not gonna tell you that your diet's the biggest problem. People in the fitness industry aren't gonna tell you that. People in the fitness industry, they're not gonna tell you that you don't gotta go to the gym 4 days a week, 3 days a week. People in the fitness industry, are incentivized to keep you unhealthy, so they have recurring customers and recurring clients to be just paying their memberships all day. They financially are incentivized to keep you guys unhealthy. So what I decided to do, what self-sustained training is, and what we're even here presenting the optimization for your health for wealth is giving you the actual answer to being healthy, which is fixing your food, fixing your walking, and fixing your posture. Those three things. Fixing your food, fixing your walking, and fixing your posture. Now, the order of prioritization is food first, because if you fix your food, I'm not even playing. I guarantee every single person in this room, if you can fix your food, will be that much healthier. But most people don't know how to fix their food. Most people don't know what it actually takes to become healthier, which is why they overcomplicate it. Now, on my website, and I'm not here to sell you anything. I truly am not here to sell you anything. I'm here to sell you an idea, because on my website, the whole concept, I have 3 videos, one that fixes your food, one that fixes your posture, and one that fixes your walking fundamentally. And on that website, we give all of this for free. There's no signups, there's no click here and sign up there and blah-de-blah and misdirection. There's none of that. It's, how do I get healthy? You go to the page, then you scroll down and there's 3 videos right there. The only cost of entry is that you're willing to pay attention. That's the only cost of entry, is if you're willing to pay attention. And as business-minded individuals, that sounds free to me. So, when it comes to food, nutrition, I'm gonna keep it simple for all of you guys in here. Nutrition is one of those things where I don't blame you for being metabolically unhealthy. I don't blame you for being metabolically unhealthy, because we live in a day and age, especially as college students, as you guys are very well aware, there is a convenience factor that is the most enticing variable when it comes to, yeah, that's why I'm gonna go get that Panda Express. Oh, okay, I'll just get the Starbucks instead of making the coffee at home. Oh, I'll just go do this or that. Why? Simply because it's convenient. It is so convenient. And alluding to what we talked about at the very beginning, it's convenient because we're blessed to live in a day and age where we don't have to chase our food, and we don't have to do the extracurricular work to simply survive. Because humans back in the day had to exemplify that extraordinary quality to simply be alive, thrive, and survive. Now, again, I'm truly not here to sell you anything, but at the end of the day, if you want the extra work, where we have actual products, we have actual programs that they're offered to every single one of you in here. It's one of those things where I don't care about these programs. You don't even gotta buy these programs. Don't even worry about the programs, because that is 10%. This is 10% of being healthy. As a startup business, you wanna know why 90% of them fail? Because they don't know their market and they misappropriate fundings. Now, if I was a startup business, this isn't the best business model. Giving you guys the best things for free and selling you only 10% of the actual success. Which is why I do not care, let alone expect any of you in here to buy a program. Because being honest with you, that program will do nothing for you unless you take care of your food, you take care of your walking, and you take care of your posture. People go into a gym and they'll do a bicep curl, not knowing how to bicep curl, put the weights down and be like, yeah, I just did bicep curls. I went to the gym today. But the problem is that bicep curling that they're doing, or that squat that they're doing, they're usually doing it from deficient biomechanics, meaning their posture is poor, their walking is poor, and then when they get into a gym, they exacerbate those poor biomechanics because they didn't work on those first principles from the get-go. And so these programs mean nothing. They are absolutely moot. I do not want you to buy any of them unless you are willing to watch those 3 videos about fixing your food, posture, and walking. And then, if you feel like you need a little extra, feel free to take a look at our workout catalog. I'm just gonna keep it simple with you guys. Every single one of my clients, whether they're coming for an in-office consultation for wellness, we'll say, which is usually like mental counseling, Whether they're coming in for a mental and emotional consultation or if they're actually wanting to be trained from a fitness protocol, meaning they're actually having me as their trainer. It doesn't matter if it's my in-office clients or if it's my personal training clients. It doesn't matter if it's an obese client that comes in 500 pounds or if it's one of my high-level professional athletes. It doesn't matter. I have every single one of them follow what I call parents' protocols. Now, these parent protocols aren't so apparent because most people think that getting healthy is a lot more than what you see on the board. They think it's more complicated than simply fixing your food, fixing your posture, and fixing your walking. In fact, I'll give you guys a little demonstration. So I didn't plan on doing this, but just so you guys can actually leave with this. Because if you watch the diet video, I promise to goodness, the knowing how to track your macronutrients, and again, it isn't self-sustained training that is the arbiter of this information. This is just facts that are out in the world that most personal trainers don't care to acknowledge because they are incentivized what? To keep you unhealthy. And so they complicate the regimen so they have a more luxurious seeming title and job when at the end of the day, the actual luxury and the actual qualifications of the job is the output of the clients that they're actually training. And every single one of my clients who have followed these parent protocols has found themselves in the 10% of being their healthiest self. So when it comes to posture, I'll teach you guys a little something. Most people have trash posture simply because they sit so much. So most people, let me grab this chair. I got you. You good, brother? So most people are sitting all day, right? That was smooth. I was cool with that. Most people are sitting all day. This sitting causes technically what? A half squat if you move this chair. So sitting is just a half squat. And if you're sitting all day, you're exacerbating, you're hyperactivating certain muscles in your body. I knew that was going to happen. We're Gucci. They're going to hyperactivate certain muscles in your body, specifically your rectus femoris, which is just the long muscle on top of your thigh. What happens is when you sit all day, this rectus femoris being overextended will cause your pelvis to now be pulled forward because of that overactivation. This pelvis being pulled forward causes what's known as an anterior pelvic tilt. If any of you have lower back pain in here, you understand the implications and the uncomfort of the chronic pain that lower back pain can actually facilitate, that lumbar pain. But now we understand whenever we are going into this half squat and then we try to stand up and our pelvis is tilted forward, notice this arching in my lower back. There's this arch here because of this anterior pelvic tilt, we'll call it. If we can simply fix that tilt, as well as other deficiencies in our posture, we can begin to mitigate the catalyst to the chronic pain that we're experiencing every single day, specifically in our lower back. Now again, if I spent the whole seminar going through the diet video, going through the posture video, going through the walking video, it would be informative, but it wouldn't be as important as the actual implications of the mindset presupposing the implementation of those protocols. So something as simple as that, right? If we're sitting all day, we understand, okay, I'm sitting all day, it's causing my posture to be trash. Why? Because my thighs are being overactivated. And then if you're on your phone all day, there's this rolling of the shoulders. This is technically called, I know, amazing posture. This is called a kypholordotic state. You have kyphosis, which is the shoulders holding forward, lordosis, which is the lower back being arched and the neck being protruded. And this kypholordotic state is something that, again, with an understanding of the intention behind the movements, we can start mitigating the actual catalyst to that chronic pain, which is that poor posture. Now, I could get into walking too, and we can start walking, but just watch the videos. They'll tell you everything you need to know, truly. The parent protocols, though, they are going to be different for everybody. The dad, the DAD, and the mom, the MOM. That's how I look at it. We have our dad, which is our daily acts of discipline, and we have our mom, which is our minimal optimization method. Now, everybody's daily active discipline will look a little different, but everybody's minimal optimization method is the same. At bare minimum, in terms of the minimal optimization method, at bare minimum, you need to have a fitness protocol in place that you can do irrespective of if you're in a gym or not. And that's what, again, the posture and the walking will do fundamentally. So the parent protocol, specifically on the daily acts of discipline, should look something as simple as a base stretch every day, which that stretch should look like something that's optimizing your biomechanics. And then we need to have the integration of that base biomechanics of those stretches in some actual movement. And the way that looks for us at a bare minimum is fixing our posture and then integrating that posture in our walking. And again, self-sustained training, we have 3 videos, the cornerstones of if you can afford to pay attention, will guaranteed fix your health immediately, starting tonight. I guarantee it. Because the formula it's been legitimized by trainers out there that actually do want to make you healthier and actually are incentivized to push the fitness industry beyond just making money. Which in my opinion is one of the most corrupt things to do, is to harm somebody's physical state of being for the sake of a simple dollar. I don't care if I was training people for $20 an hour, $40 an hour, up to the point where I was able to go to my clients' houses at their house and train them for $100 a session, to the point where it doesn't matter. It is honestly irrelevant how much they paid me at that point. Because for me, the output is what mattered. And if I had a client paying me $100 a session, and after 8 weeks, they're the exact same, if not worse, I couldn't live with myself, and I couldn't sleep at night if that were the case. Which is why, again, from a business model standpoint, maybe self-sustained training isn't the best thing for a business, but from a perspective of trying to actually facilitate change with no excuse to facilitate that change, that's more rewarding than any dollar amount you could put on it. And I've experienced it. I've trained hundreds of clients personally, and I've trained thousands online, and at this point, this has been the formula that has worked. Now, the daily acts of discipline, again, it's as long as you're doing some sort of fixing your biomechanics, and as long as you're doing some sort of stretches to substantiate those biomechanics, that's all you need to do. And for you leaving here tonight, that looks like fixing your posture, fixing your walking, which again is underneath those 2 videos. If you go to the website, selfsustainedtraining.com, 100% free, you don't got to buy nothing. So you can literally become self-sustained today. Fix your food, fix your posture, fix your walking. I guarantee you that will, I guarantee you. Now, what kind of business person is going to say they guarantee you? No, I guarantee you will become healthier as a result of it. And if there's a 100% perfect version of yourself, 80% of that perfection comes from the food fundamentally, just the food. 90% of people are metabolically unhealthy because they eat poor. So if you can clean up your food fundamentally, which doesn't require a crazy program, it requires an understanding and a knowledge of how to then fix the food, you don't even need to technically work out. And if you do, at that point, understand the importance of working out, it should just stem from the first principles of fixing your biomechanics, fixing your posture, and fixing your walking. And if you can do those 2, I'm not even playing, you do not have to go into a gym, because those 2 in and of themselves will fix your body's chronic pain from the physical standpoint, while simultaneously fixing all the bad habits that you built up to that point. Because if you're walking 5,000 steps a day and they're poor steps, you're going to have to start walking 5,000 good steps a day to make up for all those poor steps we've taken up to this point. So the parent protocols again. Just so we can go back to it so you guys can see it. The parent protocols again, minimum optimization method is simply doing the bare minimum. I call it the C- method. You guys know C's get degrees, right? It's simple. C's get degrees. So if you can bare minimum just go in, show up, and know what it is you're doing, and then execute it, I guarantee you that in of itself is a passing grade. So simple. Getting healthy is pretty easy, guys. I'm not playing around with that. We just don't know. Kinesiology, like I said, is only about 150 years old, but realistically, it's only about 50 years old. And even then, when it comes to the stuff I'm talking about, when it comes to posture and it comes to walking, that is based in the science of what's known as the myofascial, and the myofascial science is only about 10 years old. And if I spent the whole seminar talking about myofascial science, we really wouldn't know what the heck to do after today. So, in summary, If we can fix the basics, it's so funny. If we can literally just stand better, walk better, and clean our food, I guarantee you will be healthier. And by optimizing your health from that first principle standpoint, it will ensure that you're wealthier in all facets of your life. Being a better you makes you a better child to your parents, friend to your friends, relative to your relatives, a potential parent to your children. And if you are a parent, it's even more apparent that we become healthier. You see, in order to manifest your best self, you just have to know how to do it. Most people pay for a person. Skill specialization in the 21st century looks different than it did for our ancestors. And tying it back all full circle, before we get into the Q&A, the skill specialization nowadays required to be healthy, most people think they have to be a personal trainer. You don't have to be a personal trainer. To be honest, you don't even have to watch anything outside of the 3 videos that are on my website. But irrespective of SST, irrespective of the videos you'd be watching, irrespective of all of that, what actually matters is understanding how simple it is to do the extra. How simple was it for all of you to show up here tonight? It's pretty simple. You showed up. I guarantee you showing up here tonight is harder than implementing a healthy protocol to make sure that you're optimizing your health overall. You know, the problem is, though, we live in the TikTok era where if you don't have 30 minutes and can't afford to pay attention, you're going to just dismiss it like every other potential health protocol that you could have followed. You'll watch the 10-minute video, you'll get 3 minutes in, and you'll be like, I'm done with this. You'll watch the posture video, you'll be like, I'm done with this. You'll watch the walking video, and you'll be like, I know how to walk, but you can teach me how to walk. I know how to walk. But I guarantee if you can afford to pay attention, you will be well equipped enough to leave here tonight to start optimizing your health, which will make you exponentially wealthier in all facets of your life. Again, that's what separates SST from every other fitness organization in the industry. Is I truly, just so you guys know, personal training is like my secondary thing. My whole thing is that, like, I wrote a book in 2018, Akko kind of alluded to at the beginning. Religion and history are actually my domains of expertise. And when I'm actually consulting people, it's from a ministerial standpoint. As an ordained minister, when I am consulting my clients, it seems as though it's almost coming from just a minister standpoint. But I'll be honest with you, it's coming from a personal training standpoint, just from the stance of letting them know the reason why they even had to come see me in the first place is because they're probably a part of that 90% who are metabolically unhealthy. And so the reason why SST separates itself from everybody else is because I don't plan on being a personal trainer my whole life. My goal is not to be a personal trainer for the rest of my life. Personal training is an outlet for me to be able to facilitate the actual change needed for people to be better. And from a ministerial standpoint, nowadays when people aren't religious, it's a little harder to get that change across on the ministerial side. And again, that's just what separates self-sustained training from everybody else, is you don't have a profit-minded personal trainer, fitness guy trying to sell you something. You've got a person in here, an ordained minister essentially, who is trying to open your eyes to see the importance of simply becoming a little healthier and then deducing the simple process in which you can actually start implementing that change. But you have to be willing to pay attention. Simple as that. Here at SST, all we're trying to do, and I wish more personal trainers would do this, but here at SST, all we're trying to do is teach you to be the best personal trainer so you will never need another personal trainer ever again. Because in my opinion, and what I've shown with all my clients, you're the best personal trainer for you. And my clients now don't need me to the same capacity that they once thought they actually needed me. Because now when I train my clients, they do it out of appreciation of our work and utilizing me as a continual source of insight rather than needing me to actually help them facilitate the change. And it's all 100% for free, as long as you can afford to pay attention. Mizzou, I'm really glad you guys had me here tonight. I know it was long-winded, and I know I'm here to learn about how to optimize my health. You're talking about our ancestors and stuff, dude. Like, I'm trying to learn some health stuff, but I think reperceptualizing our perspective as to why we are unhealthy in the first place can then help us understand and identify why we're unhealthy to then move on and actually find the answer to solve that unhealthy state. So again, I'll leave it here. We'll get into the Q&A, but I'll leave it here as simple as this. Fix your food. You don't even got to watch my video. Don't even watch the video if you don't want. But go figure out how to fix your food. Figure out how to fix your food. And if you don't want to do that on your own, you can then go to my website and watch the video. Then figure out how to fix your posture. And again, if you don't want to go watch my video, just go figure out how to fix your posture. Go read all the scientific papers on myofascial releasing and myofascial adhesions and understand the difference between an anterior pelvic tilt and a posterior pelvic tilt, and then you can implement it yourself. Or you can spend 10 minutes watching a video. And lastly, if you can fix the way you walk, if you can fix your biomechanics, how you move, you will guarantee be a lot healthier. But the biomechanics is less important than the actual food. Fix your food, you'll be healthier. Then the extra would be fixing your biomechanics, and then the extra would be potentially implementing an actual fitness protocol. That's it for me. We'll get into the Q&A, but I really appreciate your guys' attentiveness. I really appreciate the willingness to listen. We'll get into the Q&A. Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know how you want to do the Q&A. If you guys have any questions, what we'll do, you want to just mic run?
Yeah, you can just raise your hand.
Yeah, raise your hand. If you guys have any questions, we'll spend a good 15 minutes answering any questions, thoughts, or concerns you guys may have. You got a question, my man? Yeah, what's up?